I'm Lori. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something super fun with one of these small wreath frames from the Dollar Tree. So this is the little 8-inch wreath frame from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to do something really fun with it. And we are going to be wood burning our mesh. I want to do something with a kind of petal, and in order to do that, I'm going to wood burn. The reason being is that the edges are going to be exposed, and with mesh, with deco mesh, these edges will start to fray. So you can use a wood burning tool like this. This is just a plaid wood burning tool to cut it, and then it will singe the edges so that it won't fray like it would if you don't. So one important thing to have prepared is a tempered glass in order to do the wood burning, because it would cut right through your table, your mat, anything and everything. It will burn. I also like to use my little hot shot to put it on because it is so easy to drop these and then they will burn a hole in your carpet, your floor, whatever you have. So I can tell you from personal experience that it's happened to me. So make sure you have something to put it on. So what I'm going to do is put it on top of my mat that has my measurements, and then I'm going to use my wood burning tool. I'm going to find the 10-inch spot. So this is 10-inch mesh, and I'm going to cut it at 10 inches. So you want a square. So if you have 10.25 mesh, you want 10.25 for the square. So I'm going to cut the whole roll up using this wood burning. Now these come with lots of tips. I like the one that has the little point on it because I find it really does a great job with the mesh. And it does it pretty quickly. And be careful you don't touch any part of the wood burner, because, except for this part, because it will burn you. Okay, so I'm going to cut up this whole roll, and we're going to get started. So you can see how it singes those edges so that it won't come out. If you have some come out, just kind of trim that off. Okay, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so since we have our mesh cut up, we're going to get started. So we're going to be doing petals on the bottom. This petal's been around a long time. I believe I first saw it on the Noble Touch. She has some really great videos of petals. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your 10-inch piece. Okay, so this is your factory edge. This is your burned edge. You're going to pull it lengthwise, and then you're just going to overlap these in the middle, kind of pinch up, and then you can either go across like this, which I think is what we're going to do. So I just kind of looped it across itself, and I am going to use little rubber bands. So I can do this, and then I'm not having to try to do them and tie them on at the exact same time. Okay? So we're going to do a few of these. Okay? So the other way you can do this petal is like this. So you can pull it straight in like this. Okay? And then you have kind of cut edge and cut edge, or if you pull it across like I did, then you have the cut edges, or kind of the little curl parts together. So either way, it looks really great. So just like that. So I'm going to make all of these into the petals, and then we're going to put them on our little wreath here. Now we are going to be using zip ties on here. So you can go ahead and start adding in some zip ties on here. And if you don't want to use the rubber bands, you can go ahead and put them down right on the frame. So I'm going to show you one of those. And then I'll do the rest of these off camera. So you make it just like the other ones, okay? But instead of putting it in a rubber band, you're just gonna go to your frame, kind of hold it, and then tighten that zip tie. So you can see just how cute that little petal is. Okay, so I'm going to make the rest of these, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to start loading them onto our frame. Okay, so before I put everything on, I have all my little pieces ready. I'm going to take a piece of plastic mesh, and I am going to basically measure this inside circle here, okay, and cut this out. Doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to be roughly the same size, okay. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to zip tie it to the center. You could also use pipe cleaners or wire, but I do find the zip ties to work pretty well. It's pretty easy to get through the little holes. And I usually attach it in 3 to 4 places, usually 4, just because I want to make sure it's going to stay in place. Okay. I'm estimating I'm probably going to need about 6 in each section. So I'm going to go ahead and load on some zip ties, and then we'll kind of reevaluate and see if we need more. So there are 3 sections, so that's about 18 pieces. What I do is kind of push the end kind of underneath that second layer right there. Like just kind of take my zip tie, place it inside the zip tie, and you can see how it is underneath that little wire. You should still be able to move them, so don't worry too much. You'll be able to spread them out or push them closer together. Yep, I kind of thought that would be good. So it looks like 6 is a great amount to put in the section. Okay, so I'm going to put the rest in this other section. And then we're going to put a few in the second section. Okay, so we have the first layer on. Isn't that so pretty? Now don't worry if it doesn't look perfect, because we're going to be putting 2 other layers on it, and you're really just going to be seeing the outside of this. So we're going to take and put another layer on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in between the ones that I have. Right, so one here, so on and so forth. I'm going to do the same procedure. I'll take a zip tie, go around just this one bar. What this is going to do is going to kind of cover in between these petals and just fill it in a little. Okay. So like right in between those. That. It's going to go on top, and that's where it should be. Remember, you're going to be covering this as well. This is going to make a beautiful wreath. So this is definitely going to look like a flower. Okay, so this time it'll be more like 4 in each section instead of 6. So we're just kind of building on top of the previous layer. So you can see just how pretty this is. You cannot see the frame except for this little part in the top, but we're going to be doing something to correct that. So we did 18 of the petals on the bottom and 12 on the second layer. Okay, so now we're down to the last layer, and so we're going to take our last of our flower petals and we're going to put them in the center, so that's why we added the mesh. And you can either do zip ties or you can do pipe cleaners. So if you want to do zip ties, you're gonna run your zip tie up through the mesh. It is a little bit more challenging just because it's on the mesh itself. There we go. And you have to tie it up a little bit higher. If you want to use pipe cleaners, you're certainly not going to need a whole one. And you would take your pipe cleaner, tie it around your petal, and push it through the mesh like that. Okay, so that's the pipe cleaner way. I kind of like the pipe cleaner way, so that's the way I'm going to do mine. I find it a little bit easier than trying to do the zip tie in the middle. And of course, I have my rubber bands on here already. Sometimes I have to redo the rubber band go. This is going to be so pretty. Right? So you'll use your whole roll of mesh, but you're only going to use one mesh. I also like to use the ones that tend to want to curl up the most on the top because it's going to force them to lay down a little bit. So if you have some of your petals that really just want to kind of curl under, they're perfect for the center. So you see how this one wants to curl under, so when I pull it down, I'll just pull that out and then it will stay up and it won't go down. So now we're gonna look at what we can do to the center. There's a lot of different ways that you can make centers for these pretty flowers. Now, I don't think I told you this before, but this is the breeze mesh, so it is a lot less expensive, and you definitely have to burn it because it will fray very badly if you don't. Okay, so one of the easiest centers is to take a ball. So you can either use the whole thing, or you can cut it down the half, or you can buy a half one. This one is about a 6-inch ball. Okay, so one option is to add a sign right in the center. So this is a sign we're going to be using in a wreath very soon. The other option is the ball. We're going to cut this in half. So these generally have a line where they are from a mold. So I can use that to start where I'm going to cut it. It just kind of helps me keep it in half. Okay. A serrated knife works really well for styrofoam. And what I do is I find that it's easier if I kind of go around and get my line established and then start just kind of working my way down. Now you can use a styrofoam cutter, one of the electric knives, but they smell, they can be difficult to use, and they create a lot of fumes. So honestly, just if you have trouble with this, you can buy them already in half. And you can see it's kind of messy. It's not going to make a whole lot of difference though, because you're not going to see that. And if it bothers you that it's not smooth, you can take a sanding block and just kind of sand off any of the pieces. You can see it will sand off nicely and it'll get rid of any of those little bumps. But honestly, I don't really care because you're not going to see that. I just wanted you to know in case you wanted to. So you can see that's going to fit on there perfect. Okay, so let's talk about what we can do with this center. The first thing you can do is you can paint it and glitter it. So I have this glitter called brown sugar. That would look so cute. You can also take yarn and cover it with the yarn, which this is super simple to do. You can take rope. Okay, so this is kind of a jute rope. And you can see just like doing a little ornament, you just glue it all the way up. You can use flowers and you just glue the little stems in. So you just take them out and you just pop them in like this. And then you put that in and you have a flower center. So there is a ton of different ways. Deco mesh and go around. You can take deco tubing and go around. So you could take just some deco tubing and go around it. So this comes out super cute. You can also take fabric and go around it. So I even have some of this fluffy fabric. See, and that could go around it. And you could do felt. So felt is also a good option. Okay, so a felt center. So any of these options are great. You could also use the little colored foam balls. That comes out super cute. So all you would do is just cut off a little piece of this and glue it right onto your styrofoam ball. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this really pretty yarn. I really like it because it has a lot of different colors. And so it'll be perfect for spring. Okay, so I put it on my spinning board. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to work. Okay, and I'm gonna start by putting some glue down. Now I'm using low temperature glue. You do want to use the low temperature glue so you don't burn your fingers and you don't make a problem with the styrofoam. So see, I can just kind of run my line, turn it around, like this. Okay. There we go. So once you get it started, you don't have to do every little piece, but you definitely want to do a few. Okay. Make sure it stays kind of taut to the line before it. I like to keep it on this board, this Lazy Susan, so I can kind of go around and make sure it's staying in place where I want it to. Okay, so you can see how it's looking. Okay. You're just going to do this all the way around till you get to the top. And then I'm going to trim it off. Probably more than I need. I'd rather have too much. Okay, then I'm going to go around in a circle. And before I completely tie it, I'm just going to check and make sure that it looks good. I'm going to cut it off about right here. And then I'm going to take a little pair of pliers and I'm going to kind of push that little piece into the styrofoam. There we go. Now we have our cute little circle. And so what I'm going to do to keep this in place is I'm going to take some greening pins. Okay, so these are just little metal pins that work great with styrofoam. Okay, so you can see what they look like. They're just little pins. Okay, I'm going to make sure I have it in the center. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to go ahead and put one down kind of in the center just to keep it in place. Now, I can start taking pins. I'm going to put a little glue on the ends of them and they'll go right down through that mesh and right into that styrofoam ball. Okay. All right. If you have any trouble, you can always use your pliers to kind of push them down in. This works really great with styrofoam. You can even go across the bar like that. And we're going to cover this up. So don't worry too much about how it looks. Because we're going to cover that back. Oh, look how cute that is. Okay, so I just want to make sure I have it on there securely because I don't want it to fall off. Okay. There we go. All right. Oh, that's so cute. Look at that. See how cute that is? Now, if you have any pieces you need to adjust, you can do that. So for the back, I used to just take some felt and just cover the back. But now, I like to give it a little more structure. So I keep these Dollar Tree foam boards around. And these little frames come 2 in a pack. So I'll just take the second one. I'm going to just outline it. Okay. And then I'm going to cut it out. So you can cut these out with X-Acto knives. I like this X-Acto knife because it has a handle. It makes it much easier to get around curves. I just find it a lot easier to work with. So I don't push exceptionally hard because these will cut your mat. Even though they are self-healing, they can kind of cut them up a little. So I generally just kind of turn it around the back and kind of fix it. Okay, I've got some felt from the Dollar Tree. And all I'm going to do cut a piece of it. So this is, I think, an 8-inch circle, so we probably need to cut it around 10 inches. Okay, then I just take my glue. Okay, I just stretch it across. Certainly doesn't have to be perfect. You're just covering the back. Okay, and this will stretch, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about the edges. Okay, so you're just trying to make it nice and neat and clean, and it'll keep anything from falling out. So all the ugly pieces will be here on the inside, and you aren't going to see that because it's going to be facing the inside of the wreath. This also helps if someone has a glass door. So you really don't want to see all the mechanics. Okay, there we go. All right, then you can just trim off what you didn't use. But when you're doing these, you want a couple inches on the sides to kind of glue it over. Then you can just cut off the excess. Okay. All right, now we have a nice piece to go on the bottom. You see how nice that's going to look? So what you can do is take an ice pick or an awl and poke a hole through. For something like this, I will tend to use an ice pick because it is a little bit bigger. But I keep an ice pick and an awl in my room in here. So it'll pop right through. It is styrofoam in the middle. I can take zip tie, and I'll go ahead and push the zip ties down through the styrofoam. Then I'll just run it under the frame. Zip tie it down. So, under the frame. So now we have a nice clean backing. Okay. So you will see the zip ties. You could get zip ties that are the same color if you would like to. Okay. So before I come do this last one, I'm going to take a pipe cleaner. I'm going to make a little hanger. So I'm just going to run it under the frame. I'm going to do it kind of on either side of a crossbar. So that way it kind of won't slip around. Just like that. And then on the other side, you can do this before you put your thing down, but I generally just kind of do it at the end. There we go. So I just twisted it on itself. Okay. Put this under. Right. All right, there we go. one completed flower. All right. Oh, let's take a look. Okay, so here's our hanger in the back, and then here's our flower. Oh, how pretty is that? Isn't that pretty? Look how pretty, even from the sides, it's pretty. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. And make sure to comment and like and subscribe. That's my dog. She's sitting right behind me. Hi, baby. All right, and I will see you in the next video. I do upload several times a week, and I also go live on most Fridays. So I hope to see you soon. Bye, y'all.